This is Bless Radio. It's just past 6 p.m. UK time. This is the Spiritual Discussion Program. I'm Saad in Southeast London in Bromley. Now it's night here. It's all dark, but I think it's been overcast today. And with me as usual is Gregory. Gregory, how are you and how is the weather where you are?
Well, it's getting dark and it's been very wet.
Very wet?
All is well.
Okay. I don't think we had rain in London, but that's fine. So welcome listeners to the Spiritual Discussion Program. I also want to say many people have been celebrating Diwali. So I want to say Happy Diwali, which is the Hindu festival of light. So obviously India is the biggest place where the Hindus are, but they're also all around the world. So they're celebrating. The celebration was on Sunday, in fact. And they also celebrated with the Jains, the Sikhs, and some Buddhists as well, apparently. They also celebrate Diwali. As I say, it's called the Festival of Light, and they celebrate the triumph of the spiritual victory of light over darkness, good over evil, and knowledge over ignorance. So I wish everybody happy Diwali, those people celebrating. As I said, this is the Spiritual Discussion Program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushin. And every week we have a topic for discussion. The topic for tonight is Become like little children. Become like little children. These are the words of Jesus in the Bible. So we're going to explore that in our discussion tonight. If you have any questions or comments, you can join in by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, you can contact us on this number, which is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. I'm going to begin with what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Uprushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life, for through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover, through the intuitive perception, if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Uprushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And one more quote I'd like to give you from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic we're discussing tonight is Become Like Little Children. That's a quote from the Bible, from the words of Jesus. Become like little children. So if you'd like to, if you have any questions or comments, please contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Now, Gregory, as you know, I like to look at the words in the topic in the dictionary. And so I'll do that. I'll start with that. The first word is become. So just remind everybody, the topic tonight is become like little children. So the first word is there, become, as I said. And in the dictionary, it says, for the meaning of become, begin to be. That's one meaning. What do you say for that meaning there, Gregory?
That's appropriate.
Okay, that's good. Many times you have something different to say, so I'm happy about that. Okay. And then the second meaning it says, for become, look good on or suit someone. That's, I think that's specifically to do with clothing. So I'm not sure that's relevant for our discussion. Anything you'd like to say on that, Gregory?
Well, it's not relevant. I think
Yes.
the first one gives a more precise picture.
Yes. Okay, I will move on. The next word in the topic tonight is like. And that in the dictionary, it says, again, there are two meanings given. First one, having the same characteristics or qualities as, similar to. So, Gregory, what do you say about this one?
Like is represented by similar to.
So, yes, so that's good then. Okay. And then another meaning in the dictionary, or like, used to draw attention to the nature of an action or event. So this is, again, I repeat that. So the second meaning of like, used to draw attention to the nature of an action or event. Anything to say on that?
Descriptions which are not precise enough.
Right. Okay. I will continue. this third word in our topic is little, become like little children, so little. And that one in the dictionary it says small in size, amount, or degree, often used to convey an appealing diminutiveness or express an affectionate or condescending attitude. So it has multiple meanings there, Gregory. What do you say to that?
Well, these are just descriptions, sometimes which do not really convey the precise meaning. Though the nearest to it is what you mentioned, small in size.
Yes.
Small in size does not mean small in strength or small in purity.
Right. Okay. So we'll make note of that and again continue. And the last word is children. And in the dictionary, it gives a simple answer, the plural of form of child. So I think that was not really means much. So I continued to look there. I just went to the word child, so we can pluralize it. A child is a human being who is not yet an adult. I think yes. So that's what they have described there, Gregory.
I think that is the nearest to it, which is okay.
All right, that's good. So I want to do, before I go further into questions, I thought I would read from the Bible. You know, we need to have a context for the topic, where it's coming from. So this quote, become like little children, I will now read. It's in Matthew chapter 18. Let me just find that. Okay. And it's beginning, I will say, verse 1 to 5. So that's Matthew chapter 18, verses 1 to 5, and is titled, The Greatest in the Kingdom of Heaven. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? He called a little child to him and placed the child among them. And he said, Truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes one such a child in my name welcomes me. So, Gregory, I mean, that might have been a surprise to hear to the disciples when they were looking at asking him, Jesus, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And he brought out a child. And straight away you're thinking, what is it about a child that is, make that child, or how can I say, be the greatest? I don't think it's specifically about that particular child, it's in general. So what is Jesus saying there, Gregory? What is he trying to, how can I say, point out in talking about a child, little children, let's say? I'll just repeat the actual, that quote actually. Truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. So, yeah, Gregory, what is Jesus trying to say there?
Whatever he spoke about, whatever references he made, must have been made out of innate wisdom, which wisdom resonates with the laws of creation or the laws of nature, through which all that exists in creation came into existence. when he brought out the child, for many, that already represents the one that acts in innocence, that is without guile. And the child, when viewed aright, exhibits purity, purity of thought, purity of activities. But the key thing that many need to understand basically is the attitude of the child into how he or she strives to understand the language which the adults speak to it, and how he himself adjusts himself to these challenges of the language. Maybe most likely, that is the sterling example he was trying to draw out.
Thank you very much for this answer, Gregory. I think the word attitude is the key word there, because, I mean, one thing about children, you know, yes, you pointed out they're innocent and without guile, and, you know, like you mentioned, purity, the acting sort of out of purity, which you can definitely see in adults is not the case. So this is, you can say that's a very fundamental attitude there, which, so you could see how a child could go straight into heaven, and an adult who is, you know, how can I say, has got taken on tendencies of, you know, being calculating or something of that type, not really pure in their attitude, you can say. So that's definitely one big point there, when you can see that clearly. So that's the type of attitude a person has to be for them to be able to enter the kingdom of heaven. So yes, I can see that. So Gregory, I mean, there's so many points in it, really. Something happens, and it means when somebody becomes an adult, you know, from child to adult, and somehow they change, because he said change unless you change. So something's happened from a childhood to become an adult in this attitude. So, and I'm trying to think, Gregory, that if this, you know, I'm trying to think of a question from that. Is it, yeah, what is the change, Gregory, that has happened? That is, like, could say, preventing us adults to go into heaven? You know, this attitude, what attitude has changed?
Again, once one considers the whole expression, become as little children. It didn't say as big children or as adults. Children know they are little. That is for sure. And because they are convinced deep within themselves they are little, it means they are conscious of the fact that they do not know everything. Therefore, they are not fooled. As compared to adults who already are full. Because children know they are little and they are not full to the brim, there is still enough space for them to articulate their experiences. They are unassuming. And because they are prepared to face every experience, every challenge, in order to articulate it aright. Because for many of them, there is the inner conviction that they do not yet understand the language which is spoken to them. Therefore, they are open. As compared to the adults who already have assumed that they understand the language and therefore they are full and not much space is left to articulate whatever challenge comes across their path. So one can already see one as a child is convinced or it knows that it is little. So the potential to learn is there. When you compare that to elders, many of them, to learn anything new is a massive challenge. Not to talk of to learn the language, which language is that of nature, or that of creation, or that of society. They are very unwilling. So you could see there's a clear difference in that particular. It is the attitude that determines, or that is the determinant. Whereas for the child, there is the openness. Openness because they themselves know they are little, not only in size, but also in their knowledge, and they will take things in bits. You wouldn't find a child trying to construct sentences and takes the most complex of scenarios to deal with. It will take the simplest and hold that one close to its heart, and we keep using it until it is very sure of the nature of that, then it holds on to another one. The adults don't think that way.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this answer and picture you've shown and painted there. What I'm wondering is, obviously there's a difference between child and adult. Well, I guess we always can never stop learning. So this should be common to the child and the adult. So that's, but somehow, as you pointed to, it seems that when we become adult, the learning aspect seems to, I don't want to say die out, but seems to be somehow reduced in capacity, and maybe some people might go, let's say, arrogant even, to think they know it all, or some words like that. So that's obviously, let's say, they've gone too far there, because you can never stop learning. So that's one definite thing that seems to happen from child to changing, developing from a child to an adult. But you said that we need to keep this attitude of learning, as a child, you can say, so that it means you're always open. I think that's what you're pointing to there. Yeah, so that's a good point. Important point. But then there is something that's meant to happen as an adult, which you can't have as a child. So I'm just trying to think about that. Is there something more happening, Gregory, when a child turns into an adult, apart from this attitude and learning and other these things? Yeah, because obviously a child is not expected to work, and they're supposed to focus on fun and just learn and that sort of thing. But an adult is more expected to, as I say, work, and which could be career or whatever profession it might be, and then continue with the next, home and other things that come with adulthood, finding a partner and all that. So my question is, when you become adult, you take on so much more things than you would as a child. Does it mean when that happens, Gregory, that it's like I call it like having a balance. You can only do so much in let's say, certain time and with your abilities. So when you have reached an adulthood, is there some changes in our abilities? And so is there some weakening going on? That's what I'm pointing to, where we seem to be going a bit astray with learning and things like that. So just to understand that, is there something we are taking more on in our abilities, and somehow we are now more focused as a child was, which is just learning?
The key difference is that of responsibilities. You would not hold a child responsible in the process of learning, because in the process of learning, room is made where errors can be corrected, and the child is in a better position to learn from the errors it has made. Although it is not yet of adult age where full responsibilities come in. The adult, at a certain age, becomes fully responsible for his activities. His activities in thoughts, in deeds, and also in its intuition. The big difference always is the attitude. The attitude that the adult has as compared to the attitude that the child has. It is that which determines how the personality fares. So when differences are mentioned, that difference is the emergence of attitude and responsibilities that go with the attitude.
Thank you very much for that, Greg. I've got more to say and ask about this, but before I do that, I just want to let the listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushing. And if you're interested to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, then you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is become like little children. Become like little children, which is quote of Jesus from the Bible. And if you have any questions on this topic or any comments, then you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And we are broadcasting on, I just remembered, there's another way you can contact us. I'd forgotten about that, which is on the blessedradio1.com website. So that's, which is where we are broadcasting on. So if you go to blessedradio1.com website, and there's a chat box called Bless Chat. So you can type in your message, questions on the website, and we can know what you want to talk about there as well. And yes, as I just mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessedradio1, the number 1.com. We are also broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space live stream. That's for our live show, which is on Tuesdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And you can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space Grail Message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is Become Like Little Children. And of course, you can listen to our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, we're comparing what an adult and child, the different sizes are. And we've mentioned about, in reference to becoming, acting as Jesus advised us to become like little children if we want to enter the kingdom of heaven. And in that regard. So now, one thing, you started with telling us that the key thing in the child, when we say become like little children, is the attitude of, you say, purity, humility. You can see that, wanting to learn. So that's one key thing that we human adults should be adopting as well, or retaining, you can say. And then obviously there are changes that happen from child to adult, as we mentioned. And one of the aspects we said was responsibility, which a child doesn't have. Now, another thing I was wondering, or I'm going to use the word thinking on this, Gregory, is that when you are a child, you are like copying your parents. And you learn by copying, you can say. But when you turn into an adult, you're supposed to think for yourself. And so that's quite different. And maybe that's where you could say sometimes we I don't say lose it totally, but we reduce our attitude towards learning somehow, because we're supposed to be thinking for ourselves and not copying like we were doing as a child. So No, the child doesn't think too much. That's the thing. So Gregory, and people even say as adults maybe are thinking too much about some things, and that's why we worry and, you know, get even stressed on things. So is that another aspect, Gregory, we could say that I could say if we acted like more like little children? I don't mean to copy. I just mean somehow not to let this thinking become so dominant that it turns into stress and worry. So does it, how can we, is there any connection there with what Jesus said, become like little children?
It is not the thinking too much that is the stress here. It's the quality of reflection of thinking. The child, because it knows of its smallness, thinks simply, in simple terms, not in complexity. And the requests the child will make are based on the immediate needs. So you have, on the one hand, a personality being conscious of its smallness and making requests based on its immediate needs. Whereas in the case of an adult, they do not provide room for themselves to reflect simply. Their reflection is on complexities. Therefore, it is more like a hydra-headed demon which they are reflecting on, and therefore there is no end to it. And in that process, they are completely drained. And that reflects why you may say, oh, they are exhausted. Whereas the child, in its own reflection or thinking, it thinks very simply and not in complicated pattern, because it is clear for himself or herself what it needs to achieve. And that's a big difference. When the child speaks, it is with simple tenses, not the complexities or with rhetorics as you will find with the adults. So the differences are very stark and clear.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer there. You talked about the quality of thinking, not the, you could say, quantity. So, which of course is again back to the word attitude. So how you approach. So it's a childlike attitude, I think, Gregory, is what we are pointing to. Humility, simplicity, purity, not, as you said, without guile, no guile. So now let me go into that word childlike, Gregory, because you know there are some naughty children as well, you get, and or malicious even. I know Jesus wouldn't be talking about those type of children to go to kingdom of heaven. So how can we yeah, can you tell us more about that, Gregory, when the children can be naughty and malicious even? Because that's not too doesn't look like childlike somehow.
Again, by their activities, they reveal themselves whether they are naughty or not naughty. Because that which is childlike will approach a challenge in simple terms, whereas that which is not childlike, although still a child, will start from the complicated side. Many a child that needs something will just say it directly. A child that is learning a language will pick the simple ones through the examples they themselves have been able to articulate, whereas others will go in a roundabout way. So these modes of expressions of the personality, these modes are very clear. The child will only ask for what it needs, whereas that which is not childlike will ask for what it may need and what it doesn't even need. And that is how one quickly recognizes a malicious child. The child will wish to carry the load it can manage because it wants to be able to be fully involved in joy, in the challenges that it has encountered. On the other hand, that is not the case. Many, and adults, and those who are not more childlike, will wish to be engaged with so very many things, and therefore will be running around in circles.
Thanks again, Gregory, for this answer. I'm just thinking, with children, they have, like, say, parents or guardians to direct them and guide them. So what happens with adults, Gregory? Because when we become adult, we seem to, as I say, we have to think for ourselves, and we are no longer, you use the word responsible, we are responsible for ourselves, not somebody supposed to be responsible for us. So is there any guidance? I mean, of course, you are told you can't do this or you can do that, and all those things, rules and moral sort of training is given to you, and then obviously you can choose to follow or not follow when you become adult. It's up to you. So but Gregory, we are still learning, and sometimes we don't know things. So, and it doesn't have to be necessarily good or evil as such. It could be just the direction you want to go in. So what sort of guidance can one sort of look to? Is it going to talk with people, experienced people, or can one receive guidance by your own self?
It is remarkable that many wish to rely on guidance. That is very commendable. The question has always been, what is done with the guidance which has already been given? Nothing. With the child, because it is conscious of its smallness, it trusts easily and follows the path which has been mapped out. At the same time, even as a child, the intuitions are not complicated. Because of its nature, they are simple. That stops when you have adults who do not retain their childlikeness in their activities. Because they do not retain their childlikeness, they themselves are not open. Because childlikeness is similar to openness. Where there is openness, many a thing can come in and one may learn from it. Where there is no openness, no fresh air can come in. So many a time you will find that the so-called adults or elders are already full of themselves that which they have learned, which, strictly speaking, are not of benefit to them in accordance with the creative laws of nature. So one has to look at it carefully. How should one proceed so as to be able to become like little children? It all lies in simplicity and openness. The adults, or many of them, will not wish to be open because to them, they already know, been there, done that. So, whatever experience comes, they do not look at this experience or examine and weigh this experience with fresh eyes. That means with fresh intuition. The guidance always comes. The problem is, how does one respond to this guidance? That is the key. The guidance may come through what one has observed externally, may come from reflection, may come from experiences in the observation of other people. How does the person respond to these? For the one who is open like a child, is able to, in simplicity, make use of this piece of advice or of the pictures it has perceived, which pictures it knows is a pointer for it to be able to achieve that which it needs. Whereas the so-called elder who has lost his childlikeness, that means its own simplicity, in its own vibrations, it picks up so much noise. Noise left, right, and center. And the crowding in of the noise prevents it. That means it's not granted the possibility to weigh aright, or to weigh with the intuition, or to weigh and examine. These are critical. For every impression, every picture must be weighed, must be examined. For the one who is closed, that means you are closed to examination. You are closed to weighing. Compare that to one who is open. Open to examination, open to weighing. The openness is such that the personality in its vibration, because it is simple and direct and not distracted by noise, it's able to resonate in the purest possible form to the requests, to the impressions that has struck it.
Thanks again, Gregory, for this answer. I've received a question from a listener talking about children. And I just want to read that out now. I will say it's a comment rather than a question. They're saying that children, by their very nature, live in wonder and possibility. For them, anything is possible. They don't let circumstances get in the way or facts. Just believe, and that belief makes things happen. It opens the door of the imagination. Children let go of stuff. They don't hang on to baggage. This is a generalization because children experience worry, stress, and trauma too. Okay, so let me read that again. I'll say again a comment from a listener. Children, by their very nature, live in wonder and possibility. For them, anything is possible. They don't let circumstances get in the way or facts. Just believe, and belief makes things happen. It opens the door of the imagination. Children let go of stuff. They don't hang on to baggage. I'm going to just stop at that point there, Gregory. Anything you'd like to respond in that from that comment?
As with anything, it must be weighed carefully and must be examined. Not just weighed and examined in an arbitrary manner, but weighed and examined in accordance with the creative laws of nature, which is the basis for all activities. For children, openness is there. It is that openness which more or less is the purity of their thoughts, in which they are able to absorb impressions, absorb experiences, and make use of it. That is why we said they are open. And they do not absorb the very massive impressions, but the simple one, in accordance with their nature, in accordance with their needs. The imagination which is talked about, that imagination is sometimes inconsistent in the way many a person explains it, considering that everything is possible. Of course, the children, from their little experience, already perceive that not all things are possible, even if elders or the adults give that strong impression. They weigh in a simple manner and they examine in a simple manner based on that which they themselves have already had within. That means there is the wonder. At the same time, there is the basis of a wonder. But that doesn't mean that their imaginations run riot, that everything is possible. That is what many a religion says, which are then pressed on to children, and subsequently no evidence can be provided. Of course, you might say children, they have toys and they see that, oh, you can have a toy plane and it flies. Of course, that is true. But children have already seen birds flying. So it's not new. It's only more exciting to find that which is not a living thing, but a machine flying. So it is the excitement which sometimes are classified as imagination. More credit must be given to the expression become like children. Like has been stressed, it is the attitude. One, the attitude of knowing that there is the capacity to understand. There is the room to grasp what is there. Therefore, there is the room for experimentation. And that is why you find children move from one place to the other, already experimenting. The same is not so with an elder, because for many, they are already full. And when one has eaten and is full, there is no further room to add anything new.
Thanks again, Gregory, for this response. I want to just let the listeners know that you're listening to Bless Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of this show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message, by Uprushing. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing on the show tonight is Become Like Little Children, which is a quote from Jesus when his disciples asked him, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And the quote I've given is a short one. So the key is, it says, become like little children. You're welcome to join us with any question or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And also you can contact us on the through the website on the chat box. The website is Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1. youtube.com. And then if you look at the homepage, just scroll down a bit, you'll see a Bless chat box. And you can contact us through there as well. And as I mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space live stream. That's to listen to the live show. You can listen to the recording of this show the next day. Again, go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space Grail Message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is Become Like Little Children. And of course, you can listen to our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, there's some other factors we need to take into account, when we are going from children to adult. And that is, we also have this free will. Now, some people are wondering, well, doesn't the child have a free will? But as we said, until the age of becoming adult, or puberty, you can say, they are not an adult. So children, and so they don't carry the responsibility for what they do. But once we have reached this age of responsibility, let's call it, then we are responsible. So they have their free will, but it's not the same consequences for them. But as an adult, they are, let's say, more serious consequences when you are an adult. And I was pointing to earlier, Gregory, that somehow we might become arrogant, in our attitude as adults, which a child doesn't seem to have that. So I'm wondering how can a person sort of keep that in check, that they don't, is there, because I don't know if sometimes you wonder if people are aware that they're, let's say, going astray in their attitude, because maybe it's gone so far that they are not able to see it anymore. So I'm wondering, how can we, a child has someone to tell them, but for adults, we don't have that. Or let's say, yes, we do. Another adult can always say something, but how can one, how can I say, prevent this arrogance from taking over somehow? That's what I want to, ask you there.
It is surprising that the nature of such questions as you just asked is prevalent. Why? When one considers the child, which child has not reached the age of the adult, therefore responsibility is put abay. It is granted the opportunity to explore, and without any ill intent, is able to move forward to experience. The stage of the child leading to adulthood is supposed to prepare that stage of preparation in which the personality can already pick up the reciprocal activity that has accrued from its deeds. That stage of preparation in which the personality is able to pick up the responsibilities or the reciprocal activity that has arisen from his or her thoughts, or by mere associating with others is able to already articulate that which lies in similarities, that which lies in homogeneity. The type of friends is able to make. The ones that welcome him or her, and the ones that reject him or her. This is a preparatory stage. Also, this is the stage in which the intuition speaks boldest, loud and clear. The pictures are sharp. But very sadly, it's at this preparatory stage that many things are swept aside. Swept aside in the sense, whatever approaches the individual is easily done away with, saying, I already have or I already know, instead of them to keep that capacity open, that openness and willingness to examine further. So when you fall into that category that easily push things aside, because you, in your own imagination, you consider that you already know. Therefore, that which is supposed to be of benefit slips by. The loss is yours alone. So, the question falls back. How should one go in such a way as to prevent arrogance? The answer remains the same. Become like little children.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this. I know sometimes the question can sound quite silly, but even when we repeat, it's a good way to learn. So thank you for that. I've now received, the same listener has put some more comments now, and I just want to read them out. They're saying, we are made up of 3 identities at all ages. Child, parent, adult. We can access these states at all times. This, I think, is why some children are very mature for their years and parental. We adults can become like children at any time. Children can be like adults at any time. So let me read that again. We are all made up of 3 identities at all ages. Child, parent, adult. We can access these states at all times. This, I think, is why some children are very mature for their years and are parental. We adults can become like children at any time, and children can be like adults at any time. So I will say there's controversial words being said, but let me put it to you there, Gregory.
What is the question?
No, they're not a question. They're making a point. Their point here that a child, That is their view, I would say, a person's view. So I just ask if you want to respond to it.
Well, every personality is entitled to their views, but these views must be examined and weighed carefully, not in an arbitrary manner, but as usual, only in accordance with the laws of creation. What does the laws of creation grant to the child? What does the laws of creation grant to the adult? These are the questions we must ask ourselves, such that we need to adjust our inner attitude towards that. The sort of responsibilities you demand from an adult, you don't demand the same responsibilities from a child. So that you find traits of maturity even in a child and traits of immaturity in an adult does not automatically categorize them into all these classes that have been put forward. One must know that at each stage there are many influences, which influences have an impact on the individual. At the stage of childhood, there are reciprocal activities which reciprocal had predated before the day of birth here on earth, and yet has an influence. But these reciprocal activities do not take full hold on the children because they are still at the stage where they are learning to make use of the earthly tools which have been granted them, which is that of the physical body and the senses. Then it comes the age of pre-adulthood. This is the age in which that prevention of the reciprocal activity having a full impact is gradually loosened in accordance to its maturity. At that stage, the personality observes a lot, reflects a lot, senses a lot. For some, they are unable to make real sense of it because they can, to some extent, sense the absurdity of certain human activities. But they have no say for now. Then, after that age, that period, the period of adulthood, where the full responsibility sets in. So you find that in the age, or in here on earth, you find that there are certain radiations which has an impact on the child before adulthood and adulthood, even towards old age. More of these impacts, how it is, can be found in the walk, in the light of truth, which walk talks about light, of light which is life itself, and of truth, which is the law, which lies in the motion that has arisen, that is activated by power. So in the walk, in the light of truth, the Grail Message, it explains all that the human personality needs to know and how it may have to wander through life, through living, so as to ensure that every moment is of benefit to it, not only in deeds, but also in thoughts, and above all, in its intuition, that is spiritually.
Thanks again, Gregory, for this answer. You know, how can I say, a child is always, well, let's say always, you know, they do things with enthusiasm and excitement, you know, almost like you said, they put themselves fully into something. When we turn into adults, maybe we don't apply our full abilities in everything that we do. You know, there's some, you could call it aliveness. A child is showing some aliveness and, you know, like, as I say, putting fully into themselves into some activity. And we humans maybe are more adults, we become more measured in our ways. And so now I'm thinking, you know, although we haven't gone into detail today, but the bottom line is we as human beings, what is the, let's say, the living core of us, that our personality is a spirit. And that spirit, it's inside the child. As a child, there's a spirit there. And also when we, as an adult, there's still a spirit, the same spirit there, you know, as we grow up. Now I'm wondering, are we still applying, when we become adults, the spirit, you know, somehow there's a, I don't know how to put it, if as a child, the spirit seems to be, how can I say, quite freely operating, maybe in its, let's say, how it's radiant, the face of the child is radiant and, you know, it's excited and alive this way. But when how we become adult, it seems that there's some, the spirit is not able to express in that way. Well, it can be in some ways, but let's say overall, it seems to be less like a child, you know, expressing like a child is. I don't know, is it because of the earthly life, the burdens that we're carrying on, and somehow we lose the aliveness there, you know, because as I said, it's the same spirit. When I say same spirit, the spirit that is in a child and there's a spirit in the adult, it's the same abilities and qualities there, but somehow the way it's expressing as a child and the way it's expressing as an adult, let's say as an adult, there seems to be some diminishing going on there of the spirit in the way it's expressing itself. So I'm wondering, what could be the cause of that? Is yeah, because why I'm saying that, Gregory. The spirit is the real personality, as we say, is the one that drives our us, in our decisions and in our um, life. So, um, so what would be happening, Gregory, to the as an adult, to the spirit, that it's not as, I'm going to use the word alive, but expressive. Maybe that's what I want to say, as a child.
A few questions ago, you made mention that the state of the individual is also conditioned by the reciprocal activities which have predated its birth. That means it has existed somewhere before and has been engaged in activities, could have been here on earth, could have been in the beyond, whatever. It has in motion given rise or initiated some reciprocal activities. At birth, it needs first to know how to make use of the new physical body which has been granted it before that body comes to maturity. At that period, the reciprocal activities as if are kept at bay. They do come, but the impact is minimal. Until it gets to the stage in which these reciprocal activities are beginning to have a much greater impact. That changes when you have the age of maturity. It's as if the door is now open, where full responsibility sets in because it has been prepared for it. It is because of the full responsibility that streams in, and therefore you have the personality responding to these full responsibilities. That is why the impression is then have that, oh, we don't have time for this or we don't have time for that. Because either in deeds or in thoughts or in intuitions, we're always engaged. Now full responsibilities have come in. We are no more protected as such, unless in our activities we strive to become like little children. That means we strive after purity in thoughts, after simplicity. Then it will be that the reciprocal activity of pastimes are so well arranged that we, in our deeds, move out freely towards these activities based on the examples we have seen, and we proceed with confidence, maybe in the helping or helpfulness to others or in good advice. This is shown in our behavior. Then, in that case, we still retain the childlikeness. If, subsequently, we throw away these opportunities that point out the way forward, considering or thinking arrogantly that we are privileged, then it is that the opportunities granted are wasted. That means progress becomes cumbersome, because that which would have been taken away, that which we ourselves would have redeemed, is still there and still needs to come back. So you can now imagine a scenario where that which needs to be redeemed, there are many reciprocal activities, and now you have to confront this. Of course, it becomes weary. That is the challenge. Whereas, had we maintained our childlikeness, our simplicity, then you will find that we will respond to these little tokens which have been shown to us. Which tokens? These little tokens that are also shown to children, and they respond to it in the simplest possible manner. You will find children, once they go out and they see other children playing, they just go and join them without asking questions. And they are accepted with minimal force. It is the elders who will not retain any childlikeness, who will not present any genuineness, because of the trustfulness and the simplicity of children. They exhibit that genuineness which the elders or the adults lack, because they have become so intellectually sophisticated. Rhetorics, they hide their true activities and present a false face. Children scarcely present a false face. What you see is what you get.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this picture that you've been painting there. I want to ask you more on that in a moment. Just want to let the listeners know that you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of this show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushin. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is Become Like Little Children, which is a quote from Jesus from the Bible. Become like little children. If you have any comments or questions, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can contact us is on the website blessradio1, the number 1.com. There's a chat box on the home page. You can communicate through the chat box as well. And as I mentioned, you can listen to our show on blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. You can also listen on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space live stream. That's for the live show. You can listen to the recording of this show also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space Grail Message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is Become Like Little Children. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, this becoming like little children, the aim is, the reasoning for that is to enter the kingdom of heaven. That's what Jesus is telling us, And now you mentioned there that, as you know, we don't get things right sometimes first time, maybe not even second time, maybe not even third time. And for that, we have to, you could say it doesn't have to be only for this reason, but one of those reasons that we have to, let's say, return back to this earth or reincarnate, as people can call it that way, is that we have to, redeem from our sins that we have committed. And of course, at the same time, we are supposed to grow and learn, get more experiences, because you can't learn everything in one go, you can say. So that's, but the point is that we need to have this attitude which is like children. Which is of purity and without guile, simplicity, and so on. So that's what it is. That's what's necessary, you can say. Now, I just want to know, Gregory, is this journey to the kingdom of heaven, is it purely what we do on the earth, that sort of takes us to the kingdom of heaven, or is there, I could say, other worlds? Because Jesus said he said there are many mansions in my Father's, world. I don't quite remember the exact quote now. So can you just give a bit of context there, Gregory? In the journey of the human being, we are children, we are born as children on the earth, then we turn into adults on the earth, and the aim is to reach the kingdom of heaven. So is there any further part of the journey that we need to be aware of? I mentioned about the reincarnation, that we can't learn everything in one go. So, but is there anything more in our journey to get to heaven?
You yourself mentioned reincarnation. When that word reincarnation is mentioned, the first challenge is to find out if it's in accordance with the laws of creation and is therefore consistent with it. The laws of motion from which we had deduced a reciprocal activity, that already explains it, that once you yourself have given rise to a particular activity, and has sewn a thread, then if that thread is off the earth, you need, to a large extent, to come back to the earth to experience it. Or if one had, in one's activities, whilst here on earth, has so much improved itself that the thread becomes thin and falls away, then in accordance with the laws of gravitation, which was also deduced within the laws of motion, there will be no need to come back here to redeem that which has already been redeemed. Between that interval of incarnating on earth in order to experience and one being back outside of the earth, question is, where is the personality? Therefore, that must be explored. That which you refer to as the earth is within the world of matter. The human personality is of spirit. The origin of spirit is not matter. The origin of spirit is above, way above matter, in the world of spirit. Therefore, in homogeneity, that which makes use of the physical body commences its journey in order to experience and mature and become aware in motion of the different aspects of the world of matter, of the animistic, in wandering through creation to know how these different aspects will have an impact on it. Awareness is akin to being conscious, to being awake. That awakeness which is referred to is not basically that of the physical body, but the awakeness of the inner core, which is of spirit. That is the self. So it is the self-consciousness. That means the self is fully awake to the streams of power in the spiritual, from whence it commences its journey, from there downwards to the world of matter, which is very vast. Between the worlds of the spirit, or more precisely, between the spiritual kingdom and the world of matter, there are places where many may also be engaged in further beneficial activities. These places may be referred to as kingdoms, may be referred to as homes, houses, where the human personality can commune with itself, a place where it can call initially a temporary home before it incarnates here on earth if it needs to, or it proceeds upwards to its home. For in its activities, if these activities resonate with the streams that issue out from on high, and these activities resonate with them, is able to swing itself upwards, becomes more conscious, becomes more self-conscious until it arrives home as a self-conscious human personality, whereas it had set off as an unconscious human spirit germ. So there are many places that it needs to stay. Here on earth, it's only in temporal place. How many years? Maximum 100, 200? Not much. So it goes and comes until it learns the necessary lessons, the necessary language it needs to learn. But the key language that it needs to learn is the language which creation speaks to it, so that it will know how to respond to this language, so that it's able to use this language in the furtherance of activities in nature, in creation. At that stage where it becomes fully self-conscious, it can now, from the base of its permanent home, participate in activities in the furtherance of creation, cooperating with those that lie below the kingdom of the spirit, directing, advising, admonishing many, because he himself or herself had been through these places before and has experienced it.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for painting this picture of our journey as a human spirit. So we know about the earth, a journey that, you're born as a child or baby, and you grow to an adult, and but then there's a bigger journey, or let's say that's only part of the journey, because the spirit also has been born as like you can say, a child, and it now has to become an adult spirit. So it's a journey as well. So that's like the bigger picture, which is being played in the parallel on the earth. They say, as above, so below, as in heaven, so on earth. So things happen on the earth, which we are more familiar with, but that is a reflection of what is happening, or painting the similar picture to what is really happening in the bigger picture. So I just wanted to bring that out, that it has to be seen in this bigger context, what is our real journey. So thank you for that. Now, Gregory, I don't know if you mentioned this in your answer just now, but just in case you did, just let me know that. So what I want to ask now, Gregory, is if we don't act as the attitude of the little children, that's what we are meant to do, to enter the kingdom of heaven. what is the consequence of that? If we, because we know there's a heaven, so is there, I mean, we are told there's hell, and so does it mean that if we, for whatever reason, we do not, follow the way that is necessary to reach the kingdom of heaven, do we now, the consequence of not doing that is hell? Is that the, so if you can just say, answer that. If you haven't done it already, I wasn't sure if you had talked about that.
Well, the initial discussion or the answers given were to satisfy the question. But now that it has been extended, the need is there to expand a bit. Again, in accordance with the creative laws of nature, that which the human personality has given rise to is that which consequently or subsequently it will encounter in its journey. So, if along the line the human personality in thoughts or in intuition or deeds has initiated that which is filled with hatred and destruction, through these activities, centers are brought into being through the power that streams in motion, such that the human personality here or hereafter, if it persists on the precipitation on that which is ignoble, it will then have to, here or hereafter, proceed along such lines to such centers, to such gathering, to such accumulations, such that he or she will have to experience it in full. Needs to experience it in full to see whether it brought its joy and happiness or intense suffering. So, as a man has sown, so he shall reap. If in its activities it has so constructed the paths leading to on high, based on the little tokens, the little things that have been shown to it, which he should learn from, then it becomes that he has learned the language of nature, of creation aright. In that particular state, is able to journey step by step in joy and happiness, because through its activities it has already pre-sown joy and pre-sown happiness. It's able to follow that path homewards. If, on the other hand, that has not been the case, then such hideous caricatures which have been produced by this human personality, the need is there for it to experience it. The sad part of it is that such hideous experiences are not possible back in its origin, but only in the world of matter, in the densest part of the world of matter. In that case, it will have to remain in those areas where such caricatures can be experienced fully. Like he said, the sad part of it is that the world of matter is temporal. It's not permanent. There comes a time when the world of matter, which has come into being through the integration of the simple parts to become what one is able to perceive now, it has to go through maturity, goes through fruition, and in accordance with these laws of creation, it will have to fall back to its primeval substances. That is a state of disintegration. And a human personality that is unable to detach itself before a particular part in the world of matter undergoes disintegration, that human personality, the experiences it has gathered, will also undergo disintegration. Means it will lose its human form and revert back to the spirit seed grain. It means, therefore, that the efforts that have been put into it, the journey it had embarked on, was in vain.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for this explanation and detailed picture that you've given of the, how can I say, terrible end if we fail to act and become like little children in our development as a spirit, because that's the idea, is to become from unconscious spirit germ to a fully self-conscious mature spirit. And if we fail, then there's a terrible price. So thank you for showing us that. Dear listeners, we've come to the end of our show tonight on the topic of become like little children. And I hope you've enjoyed the discussion. I'd like to read, as I like to do at the end of the show, the beginning of what's in the beginning of the Grail Message, with the text entitled "For Your Guidance." The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I'm addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring into religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path. which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this in the form of ready-made opinions of others only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you're truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Abdrushin. So, dear listeners, if you do want to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. Gregory, anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing every listener a beautiful week.
Thanks for that. And same for me, listeners. Have a beautiful week. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time with another topic. Good night. God bless.